You're tuned in to Super Talk 1270 and Free for All Friday. Compelling local talk at 11 o'clock. Free for All Friday features groups and organizations that are plugged into progress here in Central North Dakota. Our rotating panel includes members of the Bismarck Downtowners, the Bismarck-Mandan Home Builders Association, Pride of Dakota, and United Tribes Technical College. You're invited to call in and join the discussion. It's Free for All Friday on Super Talk 1270.
Welcome and thanks for tuning in to a Free for All Friday with the Bismarck-Mandan Home Builders Association. I'm Dot Frank, accompanied by Jim.
Hello.
We're all alone.
Oh, well,
I guess we've got each other.
I guess. I don't know what your husband or my wife is going to say about that, but let's not go there.
Oh, sounds good. So
Yeah.
the game plan for today, Jim, is to talk about what's been happening in the world of home building.
All righty.
In particular, here in the Bismarck-Mandan area. So I've got some exciting things to report, particularly since I last spoke with you and the listeners who are tuning in right now. I guess first and foremost, I'd like to share a recent trip that I was able to take. So every year, the National Association of Home Builders hosts the International Builder Show. Jim, what is the acronym for International Builder Show?
IBS.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's kind of a running joke. But
Okay.
the International Builders Show is a wonderful opportunity for people across the country and around the globe to descend on a destination that's either Las Vegas or Orlando, the only two convention centers that are large enough to host this event.
Oh, which one was it this year?
This year was hosted down in Orlando.
All right.
Yes. So I had the opportunity to go down to Orlando and participate in the International Builders Show. Now, the International Builders Show is a big event. It draws participation, as I referenced earlier, from around the globe. It's an opportunity to not only attend the largest trade show when it comes to home products, but also to take in some educational sessions, network, and meet individuals around the world who share one thing in common, and that's home building and construction. So it was a wonderful opportunity hosted by the National Association. We did have a good showing from North Dakota. North Dakota was well represented, not only by the Bismarck-Mandan Home Builders Association and our attendees, but our sister associations. So there was quite the crowd from Fargo, North Dakota.
Okay.
We saw people from Grand Forks, from Minot, from Williston, and from Dickinson.
Excellent.
And during that time...
All four corners covered.
all four corners of the state are covered. During that time, got to walk through their exhibit space, which was awe-inducing. In fact, I took some photos. If you're interested in what the International Builder Show is like, hop on to Facebook, our Facebook page, which is facebook.com/BMHBA. You can check out some pictures I posted. But the entire time I was there, Jim, I had one thing running through my mind, and it was, how can we replicate these displays at the home show that we host here in Bismarck, North Dakota? So I'm thinking that, companies like Kohler, who invest, probably a couple $1 million in their display, might be interested in coming up to good old Bismarck, North Dakota. Perhaps Wells Fargo, that has a very large investment in their display. GAF was another one that had a fantastic display. All of these contractors, manufacturers, and retailers descend on Orlando to display their wares. And there was some really, really fun stuff. The one thing that I thought was really interesting, however, though, was despite the fact that this was an international event, it made me feel pretty good that despite the fact that our show's on a smaller scale, which with a much smaller investment when it comes to the booth construction.
Understood.
We're
a smaller state.
We have products that rival those products that you would find at the International Builder Show. So you don't have to go to Orlando. You can stay here in Bismarck-Mandan, attend our show, which is next week here at the Event Center, and see a lot of the products and meet with the experts that you would typically find down at the International Show. It was pretty neat.
Now, what day is it next week? What day or days?
So our show, the Bismarck-Mandan Home Builders Association's 41st annual home show is coming up on Fridays. So it's February 9th. Doors open at 3 p.m. They stay open until 9 p.m. And then we're open again on Saturday from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. So again, a wonderful opportunity for you to touch I would like to say taste, but perhaps that applies just to the concession stands that the event center has, and feel all of the products that we have. And we've got such a great roster of exhibitors that are participating in this year's show. In fact, we have been very much blessed with the fact that our show has filled up annually. And it looks like we're going to be doing the same thing this year. Tracy, my counterpart at the HBA office, has been working her tail off to pull together all of these registrations. And we have anybody and everybody who has some sort of stake in home building and remodeling in our show.
Anybody who's anybody.
Anybody who's anybody.
Oh,
and
okay.
Anybody who's everybody is in this show.
Everybody who's, you know.
We got it. So I'm excited. The International Builder Show was a wonderful opportunity, again, to walk the halls, see all these exhibits. One thing that was really exciting, and it's crazy that, your interests change as you age, but I was really excited and giddy to see displays that had, like, faucets, to see molding and wallpaper installations. And that's the type of stuff that you can expect at our show as well. There's some really, really cool products out there. In fact, there was one faucet, Jim, that the faucet itself held or acted as a reservoir for the water. So the water came up the faucet. You could see it because it was clear, and then it would overflow the faucet to, wash your hands.
Yeah.
It was pretty cool.
So who exactly are we recommending show up next week? Obviously, the folks who are looking to buy or build a home.
Again, kind of like our exhibitors, where it's anybody who's anybody and everybody. I think that's who can attend our show.
Of course, a lot of the industry people will be there, I'm
Absolutely.
sure.
Spectators, though, we welcome everyone. Whether you are a current homeowner, you're an aspiring homeowner, you're a renter, maybe you have been in your home just a short amount of time, or perhaps you've been there for decades. We encourage everybody to come out and see the products and the services that are available here in their own backyard.
Or maybe you're just dreaming of the future.
Maybe. And if you are dreaming of the future, it's a really good way to introduce yourself to some builders who could help you dream that build that dream home in the future. In fact, there's the opportunity to talk to them about perhaps starting with a lot purchase. And you begin with that and work your way up into having the financial wherewithal to build on that particular
So you are going to cover the real estate aspect of it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So we have not only our builders and remodelers, we've got retail and service providers, we've got realtors, we've got developers that are showcasing the lots that are here, the new developments across our community. So you really can get a feel for what's available all in one space. And despite the weather, which we're facing right now, which is sub-zero, it's going to be 7 degrees and sunny inside the event center.
Well, of course, it always is. It usually is.
So it'll be a good time. We have some really cool and exciting things that we're bringing to the home show this year. Again, Free Friday is back. Free Friday is something we launched several years ago, and this year it is back, courtesy of American Bank Center. So we're really, really excited that they stepped up and are sponsoring Friday, which grants free admission to anybody who wants to come to our show on that day. We also are bringing back our scavenger hunt. So last year we debuted a kids scavenger hunt. The first 500 kids that come to the event center on Saturday will be given a map. That map takes them throughout the show, and they're able to collect a trinket at each of the participating booths. And some of the items that they'll be able to collect along the route include a 50-cent piece, so a true treasure to a child, as well as a piece of granite. So that is courtesy of one of our vendors, a granite plus pop rocks. So I bet you can speculate who is providing that as far as the service and products that they provide. But a lot of great things. Fidget spinner, I know that's going to be a big hit for those kids that are going around. We've got one of those at one of the booths. So we really encourage everybody to come out. One of the other things that's new this year is something that we're calling Toddler Town. And Toddler Town is a mix of playhouses that we're encouraging children 5 and under to visit. That is courtesy of some sponsors. We got everything from a traditional playhouse to a little RV, also a barbecue shack. So new and exciting things await you at the home show. I will talk more about that, plus what's been happening in the world of home building in the Bismarck-Mandan community. You're listening to Super Talk 1270's Free for All Friday. Welcome back. You're listening to a Free-for-All Friday on Super Talk 1270 with the Bismarck-Mandan Home Builders Association. I'm Dot Frank. Thanks for sticking with us if you are continuing to participate in this program, and welcome if you're just tuning in. We just finished talking a little bit about a big event that we're hosting this coming week. Starts on Friday and continues on Saturday, and that is the 2018 Bismarck-Mandan Home Builders Association's Home Show. Jim, lots and lots of fun stuff in store for those folks who come out. It's free on Friday.
Okay.
So free admission, no excuses not to come out. Doors open at 3. They stay open until 9. That free Friday is courtesy of American Bank Center. So thank you, American Bank Center, for your generosity in that sponsorship. Saturday is just as exciting. Now, admission on Saturday is $5 for adults. However, we do have a coupon available. So if you are someone who likes to save a little bit of money, perhaps you're saving that money to buy your future home, you can get our coupon. It's for $2 off, so that drops your admission to just $3. On our website, which is bismanhomeshow.com. Again, that's bismanhomeshow.com. It's also available in the Bismarck Tribune, Wednesday's Bismarck Tribune this past week, in the tabloid that we publish. And then we also, this coming Wednesday's tabloid, it was in last week's newspaper in the form of a sticker. So if you want to save a couple bucks, make sure you visit bismanhomeshow.com, check out the Tribune, or go online. The one thing that I was mentioning before we took a break was the fact that we're continuing our scavenger hunt on Saturday, and then on the entire weekend we also are offering Toddler Town. And Toddler Town is a series or a cluster of playhouses that we're encouraging children 5 and under to frequent. Those, again, are brought by sponsors. There are some incredibly fun. I'm guessing that parents are going to have to really kind of fight the urge to dive right into these playhouses as well, because they're incredibly cute. So we're going to have a lot of fun with that. I do want to mention on Saturday with that scavenger hunt, we are going to continue with the trinkets that the kids collect along the route, but our grand prize this year, which we're extremely grateful for, is coming from Caves. And Caves sells, it's a local store here in Bismarck that sells products to kind of equip your man cave or perhaps your game room.
Ah.
And so what the children who participate in the scavenger hunt are eligible to win is an air hockey table. And I don't know what child would not want an air hockey, even the children at heart, which I'm thinking are the moms and dads that are going to be walking around with their
I
children.
was going to say, good luck getting it back from Dad once he gets it home.
Yes, so make sure you come to the show not only on Friday when it's free, but swing by again on Saturday. Kids are always free. That includes Saturday for those children. And again, the scavenger hunt, wonderful opportunity for them to, meet and greet all the people that are in the home building industry. So that is our home show. Beyond that, the association has been pretty busy on a local level. We just got done hosting our annual dinner. Our annual dinner had a theme, Jim, and that theme was Pirates of the Caribbean.
Arr.
We had
Not
Captain
exactly
Jack.
Caribbean weather here, but
Not
Captain Jack
exactly,
was there.
but Captain Jack was at our event. So we hosted Captain Jack and all of our members at our annual dinner. And the annual dinner is a really, really fun event that culminates the previous year's presidency. And our president in 2017 was Shannon Reichenberg. Shannon adopted a theme early on in the year in 2017 of all hands on deck. So we took that literally and we turned the Ramkota into kind of a Pirate's Cove and welcomed Captain Jack. So we had a lot of fun with that. But while we said goodbye and made Captain Reichenberg walk the plank, we welcomed on board to take over the presidency at the HBA, Lynn Klein. Now, Lynn Klein is a longtime banker with Gate City Bank, and so he brings a fresh perspective from our association's associate members' perspective. So we're looking forward to having Lynn lead the group in 2018, and he's got a lot of leading to do because there are plenty of things on the table when it comes to home building in our communities, in particular Bismarck. So there's been some interesting city commission meetings lately, Jim.
That's
Have you
what I
tuned
hear.
in?
Well, I've been doing the news in the morning, so
Yes.
yeah, I am aware
So
there have been some
really
things.
interesting city commission meetings. In fact, what we are working on right now and we continue to work on is affordability and making homes as affordable as possible to those who would like to pursue the all-American dream of homeownership. But one of the things that tends to creep up on us are rules and regulations and fees. And so at a recent city commission meeting, we were able to have the city commission table a decision to bill out utilities on vacant lots. That's something
Okay.
that would affect a lot of our members. And so that's one thing that we're working on right now. So it's going to be interesting as we, continue to have conversations with the city about the potential impacts, not only from a revenue generating standpoint, which the city needs and we understand, but also what the side effects or the impacts are for those fees on home buyers and developers in our community. So that's one thing that Lynn is walking into and will begin discussing. We also are excited entering into 2018 because it's an election year. And so one thing that we keep track of, reach out to, and encourage to communicate with us are all those candidates that are out there.
Now, at least one commissioner is stepping down. We know that, Mr. Schonert, Doug Schonert.
From the county, yes.
He is announced for the county. Now, he has announced that he will not seek re-election.
Okay.
Now, what kind of changes are in store? What kind of change will that make for things?
Yeah, one thing that'll be interesting is really watching Burleigh County specifically, and you've got some commissioners who have some tenure, Doug included, on that commission. So anytime that changes, the dynamics change. But at the same time, it opens up the opportunity for some fresh perspectives. And so I think the county, will continue to post good numbers when it comes to construction. One thing that was really interesting is the county started out from a building perspective, started out strong at the beginning of the year, but they really kind of slowed down at the end of the year. And so hopefully the commission will recognize that there's some real opportunities to encourage residential growth in the county.
So we're dealing with City of Mandan, City of Bismarck, and the counties, respectively, Burleigh and Morton.
Yes.
I got those backwards, but yeah.
Yeah. So, the county is one to watch. The big race is obviously going to be in Bismarck because we've got a mayoral seat up for grabs as well as 2 commission seats. And we have Nancy Guy, who has recommitted to running and seeking that term again. And then we're still waiting on news from Commissioner Axfig. There have been a couple candidates that announced, including one of our own from the Home Builders Association, past president and current board member Greg Zenker.
Okay.
Has put his name into the hat to run for a commission seat. And I know that there's some others that are still floating out there, so we'll see. April 9th is the deadline for them to submit their signatures on their petition. So there's still quite a bit of time, Jim, for people who are interested or weighing the idea to enter into those races.
What about on the state level?
On the state level, we as an association don't follow that as closely as the municipal level. We're fortunate enough as the Home Builders Association to have the North Dakota Association of Builders, and they really are dialed into state races. So that's a separate entity. Okay. So that's a separate entity. We really kind of keep it local to the Bismarck-Mandan area. Gotcha. I just saw an announcement as far as the commission race for Mandan. We have both a recommitment from those 2 commissioners whose seats are up. So Shauna Labor and then Dennis Rohr have both recommitted to running this year. However, there is a candidate that just announced today who is engaging in the race. And so that's going to add another person to the mix. So it's interesting to see. And it's really refreshing to see that seats that at a time in history when unchallenged, are starting to draw some attention. And so as a voter, we all should be appreciative of the fact that we've got some choices to make. And when it comes to those choices, our association does reach out to candidates, encourages them to let us know who they are and what their thoughts are on certain ideas and issues that impact housing. And we do that through a questionnaire. And then we invite them to sit down and meet us so we can talk. Because there is an opportunity through our association to receive some funding as well as some support. To ensure your success during that race.
Yeah, we should probably talk about that at some point, not today necessarily, but as we get closer to the election season, talk about for the folks who are interested in these issues that we're talking about, the housing, the building, and everything else, what they should be looking for in the given candidates.
Absolutely. And one thing that we can talk after break is about an event that we are teaming up with the Chamber of Commerce as well as the Realtors Association, and that is a candidate training session. And so after break, I'll get you some information on that. Again, there's plenty of time for those of you who are contemplating a run to get educated and enter the race. Stay tuned. You're listening to Super Talk 1270's Free For All Friday with the Bismarck-Mandan Home Builders Association. Welcome back. This is Dot Frank with the Bismarck-Mandan Home Builders Association on a free-for-all Friday on Super Talk 1270. Thanks for sticking with us, and welcome if you're just tuning in. Before break, we were talking about the fact that this is an election year, and an exciting election year on a local level. So we don't have the excitement that comes, from those presidential races. However, we have got some big races that are going to be happening in our June primary. That includes city commission seats, county commission seats, as well as our mayoral seat in Bismarck. So some exciting stuff in an effort to encourage people to consider running for office, because it's always great to give voters choices. The Bismarck-Mandan Home Builders Association is partnering with the Bismarck-Mandan Chamber, as well as the Bismarck-Mandan Board of Realtors, to host a candidate training academy, Jim.
Yeah.
So this candidate training academy is open to anyone who is interested in running perhaps this spring or down the road. Maybe they're curious and they just want to know more about campaigning. They're working with another individual that they're trying to get ready to run. We'd like them to join us. The cost is nominal. It's just $25, and that includes lunch. This Candidate Training Academy is going to be held on February 22nd, so just a few weeks away. It's a 9 o'clock to 4 p.m. event. And this is really exciting because we're working together with these associations to bring this training. And the training really is going to address how to articulate your reasons for running. One of the first things that any reporter or you're even asked during a moderated forum is, why are you running? And so this will help you articulate those reasons, because there's probably a plethora of reasons that you're running, but this will help you be concise. The candidate training also will help you determine a budget and how to plan for that budget. I mean, running for office takes some cash, Jim.
Mm-hmm.
And that cash often comes from more than just your own pocketbook. In fact, you need to ask friends and family and community members to contribute. And sometimes that can be difficult, or you don't know where to start. So this training will help cover how to budget for a campaign and where those funds will come from. It'll talk about researching for campaigns. It'll talk about how to leverage social media. I mean, we've seen how social media can really impact elections and encourage people to get out and vote. We'll talk about how to ensure that you have sufficient time and an opportunity to make contact with voters. So despite the fact that we've gone mobile when it comes to social media, you still need to hit the streets.
Yeah.
And hitting the streets goes a long way, particularly in a community like ours.
Shake a lot of hands.
Shake a lot of hands, kiss a lot of babies, right?
Right. Don't get them mixed up there.
Yeah, and we got to get the yard signs out. And so that involves talking to real people, and those real people are going to ask you questions. And so you have to be prepared for that.
As a side to that, not to break off the subject in a different direction, but is the association ever in the business of endorsing candidates?
Yeah, so our association actually is. So when it comes to the candidates, again, I mentioned this prior to break, but if you're just joining us, the Bismarck-Mandan Home Builders Association does have the capacity to endorse candidates.
Yeah.
And that endorsement can go anywhere from just a simple statement in a letter. It could be something more public where we want to run an ad, or perhaps we want to submit a letter to the editor. But also that includes financial contributions, because these campaigns cost money. And so in order for us to ensure that we get the people that are in office that have the best interests of homeowners in mind, we might have to endorse those candidates and lend them our support in the form of a financial contribution.
But you're not tied in with any particular party.
No, so that's one thing that we're really fortunate is we're a nonpartisan group.
Yeah.
And so really, irregardless of whether you're a Republican or Democrat, and that's one of the beauties of running for a local office. When you run for local office, it is nonpartisan by nature. And so that makes it really easy for us, and hopefully makes it a lot easier for those who are considering a bid for one of those commission seats. So this Candidate Training Academy, again, is February 22nd. Registration is available by contacting the Realtors Association. And so if you want more information, you can go, I think, to any of our websites. You can also contact any of our offices. That's the Chamber, the Realtors, and the Home Builders Association, February 22nd, 9 to 4, just $25, and includes lunch. We also are really excited because we're going to have some representation from the Secretary of State's office. You'll learn about voter rules and regulations as far as the paperwork you need to fill out and the disclosures. Yeah. So we'll have representation from the office there. And then we're also going to have a couple candidates that a couple of them actually who are currently serving. So they've experienced campaigning, but they've also got experience serving. So they can tell you the honest to God truth of what it's like to serve their community. So, excellent event. Are we going to see you there, Jim?
I'm thinking about it. I'm not really interested in running for office, but I always thought about if there was a course like that, I'd like to take it just to see what it entails.
And you never know. I mean, if you just are curious, perhaps that curiosity will lead to a real commitment to run.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're excited about that. Beyond that, I guess the association has just been busy serving our members in the form of events. I mentioned the annual dinner that we just hosted, the home show that's coming up. We, of course, are working on a fun night where we do a chili cook-off with our board members.
Oh, I'll be there.
That is an excellent event.
I'm a chili man.
But really, participation in the Home Builders Association is an opportunity for you to connect with like-minded individuals, people who are experiencing the same types of stress and success. You can swap stories and learn about best practices, and our association is really excited to do that. Speaking of best practices, one of the things that we're hoping to encourage is in the form of a best practice is some infrastructure ideology. So, Jim, have you seen that there is an infrastructure and a special assessment task force that's been meeting?
That's a big topic right now.
It's a big topic.
Everywhere it's a big topic.
Everywhere we go.
Nationally and here.
So, in fact, those two task forces did combine into a joint task force. That group met, and now we are in our 4th iteration. So this is Task Force 4.0.
A lot of talk about certain bridges around town that need to be repaired.
So really the focus on the task forces has been infrastructure and infrastructure in the form of streets. The focus has really been
waterworks, power.
Yes.
For houses.
Absolutely. And so the challenge is providing the infrastructure and then also maintaining that infrastructure when it comes at a very, very heavy cost. And so these task forces have been challenged to come up with ways to generate revenue, either using current systems or perhaps adding on additional ways to generate the funds that are necessary to ensure that our streets are safe, that our water lines are reliable, and so on.
There's always talk about things like flood-proofing certain areas or minimizing the possibility.
Yeah.
I mean, we had the big thing a few years ago.
Yes.
And that's still in the back of a lot of people. It's still fresh in a lot of people's minds.
Oh, absolutely. The flood that came in 2010, we learned a lot of things when it comes to, building codes and regulations, expectations, and responses. And so I think we've gotten very smart and cognizant about what we do and protecting those assets, because once it's one thing to spend the money to put it in. It's another to maintain it and ensure that investment can last as long as possible.
Yeah.
And so we're looking at that. The task forces met a couple weeks ago, and what we're hoping to do is engage in a larger conversation, because as you mentioned, Jim, this conversation about infrastructure and special assessments goes beyond Bismarck and Mandan, and it's across the community and across the country. And so the recommendation out of that task force was actually to have a conversation and engage with the League of Cities. So the League of Cities, we're hoping, can serve as a conduit to reach out to those other communities, because I can tell you from conversations that I've had and others have stated that they've had as well, the entire state is looking to Bismarck to see what we do in regards to infrastructure financing and special assessments.
You mean in our capacity as state capital, or what the city's doing?
Just the city.
Okay.
And so they're looking to us because, we really have been the community that's taken the lead to initiate those discussions. And so there's a lot of pressure, but there's also a lot of opportunity for support and conversation about, what are the best options for all of us, and can those be applied across the state to help save those communities?
Well, this is a town where a lot of things happen. I mean, we're prone to floods here, just like in Grand Forks, that area. So we're among the two of the big areas in the state. I don't want to say we're the only two areas, but certainly that's a big thing here.
Absolutely. So we have the opportunity to kind of take the lead and share those best practices with other communities across the state. So that's one thing that we've been engaged in and interacting on. Again, always paying attention to what opportunities exist within our current community's rules, regulations, and ordinances that perhaps we want to change or revise to create more opportunity for residential growth. I'll talk about one of those items when we come back from break. Please stay with us. You're listening to a Free for All Friday on Super Talk 1270 with the Bismarck-Mandan Home Builders Association. is a free-for-all Friday on Super Talk 1270 with the Bismarck-Mandan Home Builders Association. I'm Dot Frank, sitting alongside Jim.
Hello.
Jim, it's the Jim and Dot Show, or the Dot and Jim Show, or the Jot Show, or the Dim Show.
Well, the Dot... I beg your pardon. I highly resemble that remark.
Oh, so before we took a break, we were talking about some of the things that the association has been working on and has been able to be a partner in when it comes to discussions for change and improvement in our communities, one of which is the infrastructure and special assessment task forces. Those groups continue to discuss and explore opportunities that will serve our community well. One of the things that I'm excited about, too, is just the relationship that we have been able to build and create between building officials and our association. So once a month, Jim, I host the building officials from Bismarck-Mandan, Burleigh, and Morton County to coffee.
All right.
I'm still waiting for them to pick up the tab. I'm usually the one that's paying the bill at the end of the meeting.
Well, that's not fair. But you're the hostess.
I suppose. I'm the host.
Yeah.
But no, we have a really good time. In fact, we had the opportunity to meet this week and talk about some of the things that are happening in our respective jurisdictions. And it's really great because there's such a diverse group representing the building officials in our communities. So we've got Natalie with the county. We've got Ray. Well, so Natalie's with Morton County. We've got Ray with Burleigh County. We have, from... Bismarck, we have Brady, and then we also have Sean from Mandan, and a nice diverse group, different backgrounds, experiences, and time spent working in building official capacity. And we have some really good discussion. In fact, the conversation that we had at the meeting this week revolved around something that was brought to our attention by one of our members. And one of our members had asked about the opportunity to use a frost-protected shallow foundation. So I learn something new all the time, Jim. I have never had a conversation about frost-protected shallow foundations, but now I feel like I could, hold out on a real conversation about this type of construction. Anyway, I come to find out that that style of foundation is allowed across the state of North Dakota through the building code, and it is allowed in Burleigh and Morton and Mandan. However, it's not allowed in Bismarck.
Really? In the city? Okay.
In the city. And it was just one of those things where it has always been, removed from the building code and as an opportunity for construction. And there was no real rhyme or reason identified. It was just kind of like continuing with the status quo. And so
why don't you describe what exactly that is?
Yeah, so a frost-protected shallow foundation is what you can use to do like a slab-on grade. So typically when you have a foundation, you have to put footings in, so a 4-foot footing.
Right.
This eliminates the need for a 4-foot footing because it is a frost-protected foundation so that you don't have to worry about the heaving. The footings are there so that your foundation doesn't shift, but they have systems in place that allow you to eliminate that 4-foot footing and just have the slab-on grade. But as I mentioned, Bismarck, for whatever reason, for years, has always just eliminated that as an opportunity. Well, times have changed, building, equipment and techniques have changed. And so we had the conversation about, is it time that we begin to allow that or explore that in the city of Bismarck?
I would think you might want to allow it in certain circumstances depending on the terrain.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, the great thing that came out from that conversation is we were able to talk about, what that means and perhaps why it wasn't a part of Bismarck's code, and came to the conclusion that it's worth taking a second guess at, or a second look at, and allowing builders to, use that style if they so choose. So so that was, that's one thing that we really enjoy serving our members and the community is in the capacity to have these conversations, ask the questions, and elicit change. And elicit change in a way that can help reduce costs, can open up some availability of housing, provide some different options when it comes to construction. So it was great. It was a great meeting, and we look forward to bringing that in front of the Bismarck City Commission for their consideration, and that is to begin allowing that style of construction in our community. So good thing. So those of you who are listening out there, if you are a member, if you're not a member, if you've seen different styles, strategies, techniques used in the building industry, and you've wondered, well, why not Bismarck, Mandan, Burleigh, or Morton? Why aren't we doing this here? Reach out and let us know, because we would be more than happy to explore and have those conversations on your behalf so we can begin to bring those options to our community.
Well, obviously, there are a lot of factors that go into something like that, geographic factors like the weather, of course, and whether how flood prone a specific neighborhood may be, and other factors. Right?
Yeah, yep. So there's all sorts of considerations that are the responsibility of that builder developer. So when they're utilizing that system, they have to keep in mind the soil conditions and the location, and as you had mentioned, if they're in a flood zone or floodplain. So those types of things are things that the builders just naturally hash out, but this will give them an opportunity that will hopefully help them reduce some costs that will help homeowners save on that expenditure. So yeah, it's exciting stuff. So we have those meetings on a regular basis. Before we're done, because our show is getting close to the end, am excited to share some of our Home Show magazine stories with you, Jim. Oh. So coming out in Wednesdays, Bismarck Tribune. Make sure you pick up the Bismarck Tribune on Wednesday. You'll be able to get our Home Show magazine. Okay, and you have a copy of it there in front of you. I've got a copy right here, a prototype. So this is our draft copy. It's full of information about the show. It has a list of all of the vendors that are participating this year. And then there's some really great stories that will talk to you about, what you can do to ensure the safety of your home, to ensure the efficiency of your home, maybe some decorating tips and information. And so I would like to play a little game with you, Jim, called Pick the Page. Pick the Page. If you call out a page number, and let me give you a range. Let's go from page 1 to 63. All right. I'll flip through this magazine, and we'll see what we land on. Let's go with, for some reason, the number 17 sticks out in my mind. Page 17. When I was 17. As I'm flipping through page 17, I find that page 17 is, in fact, an ad. Oh. And page 17 is an ad for actually one of the local builders in town who also serves on our board of directors. He is the chairman of our Government Affairs Committee, and that is Chad Moldenhauer with K&L Homes. Okay. So K&L Homes, if we want to talk a little bit about that builder in particular, since they fall on page 17, has new developments in North Bismarck. So one of the areas, well, actually, Bismarck is growing in quite a few areas, but one of the areas that's continued to post some real strong numbers is North Bismarck. And Heritage Park and Heritage Ridge are developments that Chad Moldenhauer has created in North Bismarck. They have been a part of our Parade of Homes, but if you haven't had the chance to sneak out and see his homes during the parades or perhaps during an open house weekend, take a trip to North Bismarck and check out this development. It's a really, really neat community that he's building in North Bismarck, and that is page 17. 35. 35. And I'm just picking numbers from the song. Another ad. And I think we are finding that odd page numbers have ads. So 35 is Northern Plains. Northern Plains, we talked about the gentleman who represents Northern Plains earlier. That's Greg Zenker, who's running for city commission. So page 35, Northern Plains, they will be in the home show. They've got some really great fixtures. Let's go to a next page. How about we start with an even number? 42. 42. 42. Okay, is that a chart? Well, that's 44. Let's get back to, how much does it cost? How much does the house cost? How much? Let's see. The whole Megillah. Lot sizes are shrinking for new home construction while overall costs continue to climb. Wow. National Association of Home Builders Construction Cost Survey showed that the average home is being built on about 1/3 of an acre. So lot sizes are shrinking. That's because I think people are maximizing their money on interiors. High-end products, marble, granite. You're saying fancier houses on smaller properties. On smaller properties. That plus the stretch for space when it comes to communities. As they're expanding and there are communities that are pressing to contain their boundaries to conserve costs. Are we starting to feel that squeeze here yet? Because, there's still a lot of movement, pushing the boundaries. Yeah, so we're lucky. We've got quite a bit of land around us, and people like their spaces in North Dakota. So I think you're going to continue to see that this is one national trend that we're not going to follow suit, and that is shrinking lot sizes. As North Dakotans, we like to have our space. Well, I think that is getting close to wrapping up our show. We are. Got about 30 seconds to go. 30 seconds left. So last comment. Remember, again, our home show is coming up February 9th and 10th. Bismarck Event Center. It is free on Friday thanks to American Bank Center. Saturday is just $5. $3 if you grab our coupon on bismanhomeshow.com. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks, Jim, for helping me out. And get the information on the website here at supertalk1270.com. Until next time.